It is our first full Saturday in the Tucson area. We weren't really sure what we were going to get up to when we came into this area. You know, I always used to think about how much I love to plan trips and vacations and things like that. And we would watch videos of people who travel full-time, and they would show up at a museum or something, and it, you know, take all day to get there and then it's closed. And I would think, why, when you can do the research? But now that we're traveling full-time, I have to say that it's actually a little bit more difficult to keep up with planning so many different things. You're at a new, at least for us anyway, we've been in a new area about every 2 weeks, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more. But when we were driving into Tucson down I-10 from the Phoenix area, we saw a billboard for Biosphere 2, and we kind of both looked at each other and thought, I didn't realize that was there. So we kind of kept it in the back of our minds, and we decided, why not? We actually on this trip so far have not really done any museums or anything structured. We've done some national parks, you know, but we just kind of go and do a little bit here and there. So we thought, let's go ahead and do this. It is $21 per person for an adult. So we were maybe a little hesitant, but the more we thought about it, we thought, let's go ahead and go do something like that, a little bit different experience. It's something we both have thought of, both have an interest in science and conservation and those types of issues. So we thought, let's go ahead and go out there. It's pretty close. It was maybe a 20-something minute drive from the state park, so easily accessible. Standing, the sun's kind of bearing down on me a little bit right now, but it feels nice. We're at about 4,000 something feet elevation. So yeah, we're about to go on a tour. It's about an hour-and-a-half tour. It's included in your admission, and it starts here around noon. So we're going to go through, do the tour, see some of the different habitats, and we'll check back in with you and let you know if we think the $21 is worth it. What you doing?
Putting covers on my earphones. Not very good.
Okay, so as you can tell, it was pretty loud inside. So we were wearing headphones, and voiceovers it is. At the ocean biome, we learned that the coral reef has died due to increased CO2 levels, but we also learned how scientists are introducing new corals to slowly revive the reef, and how this research can help the ailing coral reefs throughout the world. Biosphere 2 is a living system, much like the body, and the mangroves are the kidneys that filter toxins from the water with their roots. One of the most interesting things we learned is that each mangrove tree has what's called a kidney leaf that will absorb the bulk of the toxins, turn yellow, die, fall into the water, only to be replaced by the next leaf that will then step in to fill that role. Science really has no age limit, and the aquaponics system at Biosphere 2 proves this. It was built by area school children. That completely blows my mind because I can pretty easily kill a cactus. In this system, fish provide the nitrates, which then provide nutrients for the plants. It's all about an effort to learn how a growing population can survive with less water. The next biome was the fog desert. Now, at first it seems a little crazy to have a desert within a desert, but the plants inside actually have a much better chance of survival than those found just outside the glass, and they can tell us a lot about just how tough plants can be. We also got to see a glimpse of the technology that keeps this place going, through the wind tunnels and all. It's time for some background. In 1991, 8 scientists sealed themselves within Biosphere 2 for a 2-year experiment. And when I say sealed, I mean completely sealed. There was actually less than 10% air exchange between the outside and the inside. That is less than the International Space Station. Wow. So how exactly did they do it? I'll give you a hint. Remember how I said Biosphere 2 is pretty much like a human body? Welcome to the South Lung. Engineers designed these 2 lungs, 20 tons of material held aloft with nothing but pressurized air. The lungs are really not needed when the habitat isn't sealed, but they're kind enough to artificially pressurize it for visitors such as ourselves. As we left, we could see the disc slowly lowering down. All that air has to go somewhere. After leaving the lung, we got a look at the exterior, including the LEO, Land Evolution Observatory, as well as a peek at the solar farm. At the conclusion of the tour, we had a chance to do some exploring on our own. We got a chance to take a peek inside one of the rooms where the scientists would have lived.
Looks very 90s.
As well as the kitchen, where they would have been responsible for cooking the food that they had so painstakingly grown themselves. We also got a closer look at the LEO, where scientists are monitoring the evolution of life from volcanic rock. Because Biosphere 2 was initially designed to test a closed ecological system in outer space, it seems fitting that they play host to one of only 2 prototype lunar Martian greenhouses. I bet Matt Damon really wished he had one of these. Biosphere 2 is an active research center. Scientists are currently studying the effects of drought in a rainforest. I didn't even know that was possible. We didn't get to go into the rainforest because they are actually conducting an experiment and they can't really only scientists only at this point because they're trying to make sure to limit the amount of fragrances, colognes, perfumes, deodorant, anything like that. So we weren't able to go in, but at least we can walk around the outside. also took the opportunity to get a closer look at the ocean biome. Our tour guide did warn us that things were a little green at the moment, but it was still a neat thing to see. Biosphere 2 was constructed between 1987 and 1991 as a center for research, teaching, and learning about Biosphere 1, aka Earth. Though the first research project wasn't exactly a success, and the second was pretty much a disaster, it's still really fascinating to think about the implications of those studies and what scientists may be able to learn about the world here in the future. Hi there! As I'm sitting here editing this video, I am realizing that we never actually checked back in with you following our tour of Biosphere 2. It was actually really interesting, and we're so happy that we went, and the $21 per adult ticket was definitely worth it. Included with the price of the admission was the tour, the Under the Glass tour, which lasted about an hour and a half and allowed us to go into all of the biomes except for the rainforest biome, where they were in the process of completing a research project. But we did get to go everywhere else, and we were able to even go, as you saw, underneath the biomes to see more of the technological side, the mechanical side, and then we got to go into the south lung, which was really fascinating. So I would say if you're in the area, it is definitely worth it to head out there to Biosphere 2. Just make sure that you allow at least maybe 2 hours, because you want to have the tour, but then also allow some time to do some self-guided exploration of the habitat area where the researchers for the two projects actually lived, their kitchen area. You can also head into see the underneath the ocean biome, so you just definitely want to make sure that you have some time to do that. I know on Instagram a few people were asking about whether or not it's a good place to take kids. I would say definitely. I mean, especially if you have kids who are at all interested in science or conservation issues or anything like that. There were a few younger kids on our tour, and they seemed to be having a pretty good time. It's because it is operated by the University of Arizona now. It's very heavy on educational aspects on their website. I didn't dig too deeply into that because it's not really what we needed, but they do have a lot of educational materials, K through 12, etc. So if you're looking for something educational to do with the kids while you're on vacation, or if you're traveling full-time, then I would say definitely go. There are some other tours that are available for an additional cost, and I'll go ahead and leave a link for Biosphere to those tours below. But definitely a neat thing that we did. And if we're ever in the area, we may go back and see kind of a follow-up to what they're doing now, because it looks like a place that somewhat stays the same but could change over time, and especially when the rainforest experiment wraps up. Not exactly sure when that's supposed to be, but I'd definitely like to go in and see that. So that's going to do it for us from Biosphere 2. Please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and leave us a comment down below. Let us know if you have been to Biosphere 2. What did you think about it? Did you think that it was worth the $21 to get in? And then if you haven't been, let us know what you think. Do you think you might go? We would really like to know. Hear from you. So also go ahead, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel, because we would love to keep sharing our adventures and our journey with you. But that's gonna do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.